and my mom's 5'3". So I am the shortest in the family.
Your mom and dad have a pretty big difference there.
Mm-hmm. Dad's more like 6 now because
What time?
time, age, compression. He's also had 2 back surgeries.
Really?
Or 3
Yeah, he
for
has
discs and stuff.
in his lower back.
He's a landscaper, so
You want anything?
does manual. No, I'm good, thank you. I actually just ate, but he does manual labor, so it's hard on the body after years. And he's also had a few skiing accidents and sports injuries. So,
Did he play sports growing up?
yeah, he did soccer, baseball, tennis, and like for school sports. And then he played basketball too.
Is he from Massachusetts area?
Born and raised, yeah, Bedford.
You guys need anything else from me?
Do you feel like the things are good, the volume?
Yeah, I was grabbing
Was the
audio
volume
while you
good?
guys were chatting. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
Oh,
you.
perfect. Awesome.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, all good to go.
Appreciate your energy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I feel like you should do something where you're. I know you want to be a PT. You should do something where you're publicly speaking. People can feel your energy before.
I've been told by literally everyone I should go be a motivational speaker.
No, you could do it.
I'd love to. It's just a matter of, I don't know. It's just, I gotta find a process and build up people and then go talk places. And
Yeah, but dude, as a woman, you're such a market for that. People want to help you too. Like
yeah.
men and women will help you do that. I feel like you can totally just.
When I might try, and what I want to do, like kind of before / when I go to PT school, I'll be back home, and I want to hopefully maybe connect with some middle schools, some high schools, and start talking just about like being healthy and like specifically injury prevention for sports. Because I think if you can just let kids know early, I think they'll just be more aware about how they can take care of their bodies.
Is that like with skiing? Like when you tear an ACL, there's
Yeah.
nothing really to like there's a whole like some science, some like weight train coaches and performance coaches. They think that you can train for like torn ACLs and stuff by like being more pliable. Do you believe in that?
I don't know exactly what they mean by pliable, but to an extent, yes. I truly believe if you train the right way, there is no 100% guarantee that you won't tear an ACL. Because if you do an extreme sport or you put your body in an extreme position, there's only so far your body can stretch without breaking.
Right.
But I do believe, and there have been studies, and there are more studies coming out on possible prevention of injury, specifically of tendons, by strengthening them through agility, quickness workouts, ISOs, strength, and there are ways to strengthen tendons to hopefully prevent a tear.
Are you interested in that, being a PT person?
Yes, that's actually the reason. Sorry, my pants keep catching on this Velcro. That is the reason that I want to go into PT. That's part of the reason I want to go into PT, because I want to bring more attention to the world of preventative medicine. Because it's not really talked about a lot because there's not really as much money in that. So
I know. Do you think
wants to pursue it.
I one of my, I'm running for Congress. One of my platforms is like, basically, we should deregulate what it takes to be like a doctors and stuff. Like you shouldn't have to go to school for 12 years to be a heart surgeon. It's not even 12. It's like 14 years to be like a heart surgeon. Just do it in 3 or 4. Learn how to operate on the heart in 3 or 4. You could do that. And that's why the price is so high. The cost is so high.
Well, yeah, because they have. My aunt and uncle and 4 of my cousins, all of their children are going to go be doctors, and they had to go to school for so long. And then, you go because you get a super high paying job, but then you have all that debt you have to pay off. And once you pay it off, it's great. But I also can't speak for maybe how, it's supposed, like, maybe they do need a bunch of years to really, I don't know anything about the specifics of the process, but I feel like there could definitely be some
streamlining.
And again, I've not actually been through that specific process, so obviously don't know the inner workings or specifics, but I think maybe there's some part of, like, I think for surgeons, because they have to do so much, it's a lot of shadowing too in clinicals, because they're not really allowed to be a full surgeon until they complete their rotations, which I think takes a lot of time. But I feel like there must be some way, maybe for a physician's assistant or just a regular doctor, to possibly learn how to be a doctor quicker without necessarily needing to know all, like, to go to med school, even to go to PT school, I have to take physics, biology, chemistry.
Stone.
As a PT, I get almost enough of biology and chemistry in anatomy and physiology that's really all I need for that specific field. But I still have to take a bio class and a chem class because it's just what's been done. And so I think there could definitely be some working on maybe more specific classes.
I mean, it all it does, as you know, is it makes the price higher. It makes the supply constrict, which makes for higher prices. If the demand stays stable, it makes for higher prices. If the demand increases, which we do because we subsidize it, then it really makes the price go higher. And so that's my argument. And we're just filming right. Welcome to the Saving Humanity podcast. And but when you artificially subsidize something and then you restrict the supply of it, you're distorting the price. And so to give everybody free health care is irrelevant to it. It's about access to it. You could do that way more efficiently by deregulating it. Let the free market do it. Like when you're being a PT, they keep changing how long it takes to be a PT. When I was younger, it was like a year after college. Then it became 2. Now it's 3. And so the PTs who are currently existing like that because it restricts the supply. They can charge more, but everyone else suffers. So that's sort of a crony. When the government does licensing, it bottlenecks supplies and so forth. And what's your thoughts on that? Do you have any thoughts on that? It relates to what we're going to talk about in a second. But
yeah, no, it's interesting because with any society, you know, if you look at history, I mean, people are pretty decent to an extent at regulating themselves. You know, you want something, I want something, let's trade for something. And personally, like, I love trading. With my friends, I have a friend who's a nail tech, a hairstylist. I will be their personal trainer in exchange for them doing my nails or them doing my hair. And I think on their own, humans can regulate pretty well. But again, we have to talk about scale. When you get to so many people in such a big society, the thought is there has to be some sort of regulating over body, which is typically the government. And it's supposed to look out for people's best interest and to keep everything fair or to make sure no one's rights are violated. But it's hard because I think of human nature and just how people think and power and then money, and certain people want things that are less value, or one person has a cap on the market and then they're like, oh, I'm the only person with this, so I can charge a lot. Or, oh, I've decided that in order to be XYZ, you have to do ABC, which means you have to pay me D. And then that person's like, okay, well, I went through all that and now I have to charge QRL or whatever.
I know.
So it's interesting. I want to hopefully maybe when I get more into the industry and understand it, find a way to do more like volunteer outreach stuff with my physical therapy, especially to like aspiring athletes who don't have the access to a professional sports team that maybe their competitors do.
I feel like the thing is, you have a really cool mind. Your mind, you're able to understand pretty abstract things, and how you articulated that was pretty impressive, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm serious.
I used to want to be an economics major, and then I was like, I like it, but maybe not.
Yeah. No, but okay. So. And I can tell that you've read a lot, and you. So, when it comes to like the nail tech, they make you go to school for so long to be a nail tech.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's special interest decide this. It's like cosmetology school. The government has no right to regulate who can cut hair and when they can cut hair. And what happens is it just constricts the supply. It hurts people. It makes the cost of living go up. And I understand that in theory, it's supposed to help us, but special interests end up the only drivers behind legislation, any sort of legislation, are special interests and then people who mean well. So people who mean well and then special interests. And when they drive those things, bad things happen. It's lately because there's such a lobbying group now, it's more special interests than it is people who mean well. But someone running against me, he's like a lobbyist. He was a lobbyist for like the solar industry in the Congress. So I'm running as a libertarian. I've got an independent running against me and a Democrat and a Republican.
Yeah.
And the independent, he's a good guy, but we were here the other day. We actually did a debate. I don't know if you saw it. I sent it to you. Did I send it to you?
Yeah, I don't think you sent it to me, but I think I saw it pop up on like I saw
On YouTube?
a clip pop up on your thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I did this debate, and but he was a lobbyist for years in Congress, and so the solar industry lobbies for advantages for them, and that's what you have in government, because the more things government have control over or regulatory, the more prone it is for businesses to take it over, special interests. So if you have like a Department of Energy to regulate the energy, then the more prone that is to be taken over by business, which is why you really want as little regulation as possible, so the true free market. And how do you balance that with like people not getting hurt is you enforce property rights, which is you can sue people. So if you violate someone's land, like if the pollution or something gets on my house or gets in my lungs, I can sue that individual. Right now, the government protects big industry from being sued because they're regulatory bodies. So it's the exact opposite. Like if you really want to help people and help our air, you don't want the EPA to exist, because the EPA regulates how much the pollution they can put out, when in reality it should be much more strictly enforced via property rights. And the more that the government does like pollution and all those things, the more business can take it over. Yeah. So that's the argument against it. But go ahead.
Well, I think that's kind of interesting, because when you're younger, I'm still rather young, but growing up you hear climate change, but it was global warming. Now it's climate change, air pollution, crises. And I talked about this with one of my friends who's an ecologist the other day, actually, and I think every single headline we've ever heard about any sort of pollution emission has been so big, and so the world's going to explode, the volcano's going to explode, the sun's going to explode, we're all going to die, that I think people have become desensitized to it a bit. But also, I never knew what net zero emissions was. I used to think, oh my gosh, net zero emissions, there's no pollution in the air.
Right.
All net zero emissions is basically the company pays enough money to XYZ body to negate the effect of their pollution in the atmosphere.
Correct.
How does just money negate a pollution effect? But I think that's interesting, because then you get into regulating bodies, and there is an aspect of protection. So I could choose to go to someone I know who never went to hair school, who maybe can do just as good a job as someone who went to hair school, and they might charge me less. But then also there's the risk. So I think that the regulation agencies and stuff, some people with good intent made them to try to keep people safe or to regulate. Say, I wouldn't want to go to a surgeon who had never been to school, but I think it almost got to the point where it's too regulated now. So it was made intentionally, I don't want someone who's never held a laser before to do my laser hair removal or something.
Right.
But also, at the same time, I should be able to go to my friend to cut my hair who hasn't gone to cosmetology school, and they should be allowed to do that. So it's very tricky when you get into all that stuff, because I think there is a part where they did well intend it, because you want some sort of standard so people don't get hurt. But when you make it too specific or too much or too regulated, then it's not even about safety anymore. It's just
special interest.
Yeah.
And so this is a very I guess you'd say very nuanced, sort of nerdy topic, and we're going to move on from this. But the argument is that there's third body agencies who would regulate it, not even so much like via government force or coercion, like make people have to do it, but it would give reviews. It would give certain things where it's like, okay, Bill Smith Heart School. If Bill Smith has a heart school, he opens up and he trains surgeons for 3 or 4 years. He has the incentive, so he gets more clients, to do a really good job and only give his certification out to people who could really be surgeons. And so the Bill Smith Heart School would actually be more efficient than like a medical, because all you're doing is jumping through state-run hoops. Yeah. Whereas opposed to like Bill Smith, when he sets up his heart school, he has the motivation to really, really make sure he's training the people really well. So when they get out practicing, he still has a pipeline of people who can come through. Yeah. So there's that. And then there's just like people can review a laser skin treatment or something, there's third-party reviewers who would be like, this person doesn't cut hair well, this person doesn't do this well. I mean, the bottom line is we have the most regulated, the medical association and the medical industry is so regulated, and the doctors are terrible too. Like if you look at reviews, they all get bad reviews. People are so it's like the government regulating it to the degree that it has and becoming more regulatory has literally diminished the product so much, where it's like the people themselves deciding and the market creating incentives for people to have quality control would produce a much higher standard, much cheaper, and ultimately just people die sooner because of this. The sad part is when the government regulates like this, we don't have a free market. It just means people lose access to healthcare, people die sooner, and we just all live shorter. Now, the very wealthy, they can circumvent some of these things, but the average person, even the upper middle class person, can't. And so, but that's a very nerd. Okay, let's talk about something else. But I'm going to use that clip. So
Okay.
I actually, and some things I think I can use and I can't. It doesn't. There was one you were yawning in one,
Oh no!
and I almost used it, and then you were yawning. I was like,
you can use it. It's okay.
I was
It's
like,
okay.
no, you know what? I thought to myself, I was like, how's this going to come across when like the person I'm talking to is like yawning, and then everyone that's going to see it, like the clip, is going to be
It
like,
wasn't a bored yawn. It was probably just
you were actually really tired. We had been going for a while, and you were tired.
Oh no!
And so it was just, but it was like while I was making the point, you were like this, and I was like, I'm not gonna. That happens all the time. I have different people on, and
Yeah.
okay. Here's a question. This is what I want to talk to you about. So this is kind of what we were talking about. Okay.
All right.
So you turn 23 very soon.
I do. Ugh.
When by the way?
June 6th.
Okay. So you turn 23. What do you think people like in their 30s, even 40s, might be missing right now, sort of about your generation? What you're feeling, what you're seeing? It could be you or as a collective to people your age.
So I think generational gaps are pretty interesting because they're there.
Yep.
And it's all a matter of where society was. So like my parents, they grew up, 70s, 80s, not necessarily a golden era, but no phones, playing around, getting into, all that. And then phones came out like late 98, 99, 2000. So you have kind of the millennials who grew up. A lot of people say they grew up in the best of both worlds because they kind of had a childhood without phones, but then once they hit teens, 20s, they started having technology and they changed. And there's a lot of argument about which generation's the laziest and who's doing better. And now Gen Z doesn't like alcohol as much, so we're going to do better and fix the world. There's so much going on. But I think it's really interesting because our generation grew up. We had a phone, and I didn't have a smartphone until high school, but a lot of my friends had a phone in their hand in middle school. And I think that really changed the way our brain thinks. But I also think on a positive note, I think that we're able to be a little bit more aware of kind of what's going on because we got all that news faster. And I think we have to learn a bit more, and I think we're getting better at sifting through what's real and what's not. And we've had to really struggle with AI because we, for the first few years of having phones, didn't necessarily have to worry about fake news or fake media as much. And then AI comes into the picture, and I think we have to get better at picking apart what might just be clickbait and what kind of is really happening. But I think with our generation, I think something people don't get is we have a different view on the world because we've grown up in a different world and a different economy than other people. For instance, not that my parents could buy a house right out of college, but you used to be able to kind of get a summer job and pay for a decent amount of, say, college. That's what my mom did. She had work and she could pay for a decent amount with loans.
Right.
Now, you get a minimum wage summer job, you maybe pay off, unless you're in a state tuition school or you have a really good scholarship, you maybe pay off a fifth of your semester tuition. So I think we're also in a different place. There's a lot more of us either having more roommates or living with our parents till a bit older because we have to save money because we're growing up in a different economy. So our outlook also on the rest of life and how we do it is a bit different than I think generations before us.
Right. Yeah, the whole thing about people living till they're like 30 in their house. I moved out. Went to college, but I moved out really when I was like in my early 20s, 22 or whatever, and that's, left left my hometown, all that kind of stuff. And there's something, a hack is leaving your hometown, which you already know because you don't live in your hometown. But like the neurons in your brain start like learning when you're in different places. You start learning the roads and like just different environmental things and different people. And like it's really a hack for your psyche and for your like when you can go anywhere in the country or world and you can just live and survive there without needing your home base. It gives you a sense of like energy and like you're just like, oh, I can do this. I know I can go live anywhere in the country right now and just create a life for myself. And at this point, I mean, I'm kind of older too, so like now the financial thing isn't even a big concern. It's just like you can just create your own, I guess, ecosystem. But leaving your hometown is a hack for that because you don't have your dad to call when your car messes up. You got to fix it yourself, or you got to get it worked out, or however you're going to do it. And all those things evolve you. And they say people are leaving their hometown less. I know college enrollment's dipping for men because it should, because there's just not a lot of degrees that are worth. And like yours, like the physical therapy or like being a nurse or even that's good. Like those are worth doing because those are regulated things that you have to go to school through.
Yeah.
For better or not, it's just the world that we live in. And then because of that, there's practicality in doing it. But like someone to get like a psychology degree and do that, it's just probably a inefficient use of their time. But yes, especially when real wealth is built early. Like if you can just start investing your money now, even if you work for you made $16 an hour, but you worked and you saved as much as you could, you invested that money. When you're 35, 40, that money's going to be worth so much more. So real wealth is not an income, it's your assets. You have to own assets.
Yeah.
That's what wealth is not your income, it's your assets that you own. So I think people are more into that. Like your generation, I think, is investing more at higher levels, even though they don't have a lot of money to invest, than like the older generations. They're more in like invest in the stock market and so forth. But if you don't want anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it pretty well. I did just actually listen to an interesting podcast about investment and how regular average people think of the stock market. And 95% of the stock market is owned by 10% of America. And even that 95%, I think like 87 is owned by the 0.1%, which is kind of funny because you think about it, and investing is one of the ways to build wealth. But I think a lot of people also think that, oh, if I just invest, I'm going to get rich. And that's not true. You have to invest, but also like keep investing and have a job. And a lot of those people that are super wealthy, either they made $1 million business idea, or they had wealth, or there was something else that kind of promoted them to that top 1%. So I think people also have to realize investing in the stock market is a good way to make money, and you should definitely do it because it's how you kind of do it in this economy. I mean, almost everyone has 401ks now, not employer regulated pensions, but 401ks are the stock market. And I think you have to know, I'm investing in the stock market to try and get a return, but also I'm not trying to invest to gamble to win big. I'm doing it steadily to get a livable wage income. So hopefully, I can have that money if something happens, or when I retire, I can cushion my retirement, or I can do something I wanted to do.
Right.
So I think we're doing a better job as a generation in understanding exactly what investment really is, because I think there was this whole thing with the stock market. Oh, if I put in money, I'm going to get rich. There's some stat, like I think as of a few months ago, 50% of Robinhood users, which is just a brokerage free account, aren't actually really making any more than their interest rates, or they're doing it and they're pulling it out to go on sports gambling websites or trying to make a quick buck. But that's not really how it works, actually. And so I think we as a generation are doing a better job of possibly understanding how a stock market works and what the actual purpose is.
Yes. And I looked up my own, so I'm definitely, I'm heavy in the stock market. And at my age, I mean, everybody should be.
Yeah.
But I'm more like in that top 5% as far as the assets that I own. But the assets that I own are diversified enough across different buckets of index funds. But to your point, I've been investing since I was 21 years old. It's a slow, steady burn.
Yeah.
But also once it gets to like escape velocity,
Yeah.
it does go, and you can see the results. And so it's like we should all be. I was even messing up my investments when I was your age. Like if you started now and you were just like, okay, I'm going to put $300 a month into like a low cost, like even taxable account, and you just bought like index funds, international and U.S., and just went with it for a long time, or just kept funneling money in there. By the time you're 42, 43, you're going to have so much money, you know. Historically, if it does historic returns, there's always the threat of it going down. But I will say this: when the stock market goes down, like Donald Trump, is as bad as he's messed things up here. He was mentioning, he was like, the stock market's at an all-time high. It's like, bro, that's a very few select people, but that's what politicians notice. So like they'll cut interest rates, they'll do things to funnel the stock market. They're creating this program now where every child that's born, they're going to put like $1,000 or something into an account so it can mature throughout the child's age, and then when they're 18, so the government's giving every baby born $1,000. And so like they're doing that. So like everything, and of course it's in like the S&P 500. It's in like the biggest 500 companies. So it's like everything funnels toward the stock market. So some people call it a casino. I don't think so, because the companies have to make money. You have to make money, and then you pay dividends to your shareholders. Yeah. So the way I look at it is like when you're young, you have a lot of time to sort of let the waves come and go. Yeah. And there's different kind of index funds. There's the big companies like Google and Facebook. Those are the more larger cap index funds that have the big growth stocks, so they're steady over time. And then there's the smaller stock index funds that have 1,000 companies that are more fluctuating. Yeah. But those have the highest returns over time. So if you can just invest in a wide variety of index funds, then over time, those gains will increase because you can ride those waves. And so like to your point, you're not going to get rich in like a year. You're going to steadily do it for decades, and then at the end you'll have enough money to be free. I think it's an underrated thing is having enough passive income to be able to live where you want, do what you want. I mean, I have this, so I don't know. We can go here, but
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
We can get back to here.
Okay.
No, I know you have more questions you want to get to, and we have a really good habit of getting off track.
I know. So. Okay. What do you think? So on the other side of that, this was a question I had. What do you think your age group might be blind to? What can you learn from like people my age or older or whatever?
So I think, again, our technology, the fact that we are used to it is an upside and a downfall, because in the process of learning, something might be fake. I think we also think a lot of things are real when they're not. And we're getting better at filtering, but I think a lot of us don't. And a lot of us will take that clickbait. I also think a lot of us, because we were raised on, there's such a joke now. I joke with my ski team about it, about doom scrolling TikTok or Instagram. But I do think it has shortened our attention spans, and I think it has made us chase dopamine highs or short highs. Sure. So I think that a lot of us in our generation, we don't know how to be bored. And I think that's one of the most important things, because I think, obviously, not everything, but I think a lot of things were created and a lot of new ideas come from your brain, your imagination. Yep. And that happens when you're bored. You stick a bunch of 8-10-year-old kids outside with nothing to do. Right. They'll create a game. Correct. Yeah. They'll find something to do. My friends and I made up hundreds of games when we were younger. But if they're never bored, if you're constantly stimulated and you're just there, then your mind's never actually really thinking on its own. Right. And I think a bit of the detriment of our generation is we don't know how to be bored. We don't know how to sit with ourselves and just think or come up with ideas or process what we've seen and how that actually affects our opinion, and we're not just regurgitating some billboard we saw online. Right. So I think our generation could get better at thinking for itself and being bored and being comfortable with your ideas and being able to have a reason. Like, I have a reason, whether moral, religious, family-oriented, for all my values. It might not necessarily make sense to someone else, or they might not get it, but I can explain what all my values stand for. A lot of people, I think they regurgitate things, and if you ask them why, they can't necessarily say their why. And it's like, okay, so are you actually thinking with it? Is it your opinion, or are you just regurgitating something you saw? Right. So I think we could get better at that.
It's 100%. I understand. And I think like, because like in like Freud's day, it was like hysteria. Younger people were like, thought they were having hysteria or like panic attacks. And so it goes through, now it's like the LGBTQ where everyone's like transitioning. I mean, most women are bisexual. There's a high percentage of women who are bisexual. Just, I'm pretty sure that's like an evolutionary thing, but
well, I think it is, but I also think a lot of them still want to end up with a guy. So they might be attracted to a woman, but I think a lot of them biologically crave a guy's stability. You know, women and women couples actually have the highest divorce rates by like so far.
Because women have a high neurotic tendency, and when they get together, they're more neurotic. There's a lady here. Her name's Eva Lopez Chavez, and she was running as a congressperson in that District 1, and I actually know her. I actually met her once, and so she is a lesbian, like very, very like sort of like a far left progressive, and she basically had 4 women come out and be like, she made unwanted advances toward us, like she grabbed one of them by the neck and like threw them against the wall, and was like very, and that's women who are bisexual or lesbian, they're actually pretty aggressive toward other women. I've had female friends who've been like, you know, and that's not as abstract as it seems.
Yeah.
But I think that like bisexual women can get away with more, like lesbian women can get away with more because it's more acceptable in society than like.
Yeah.
So, but it was fascinating because her whole campaign just came crumbling down with those allegations, and it's a fascinating thing.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like with not a victim blaming, but like you'd almost never believe if a guy came forward and he said, "Hey, I was hurt by a woman." You wouldn't, like, society wouldn't really believe that because it's like, no, a woman wouldn't do that. It's always the guy perpetrating. So that's interesting that a lot of times, if they're maybe lesbian oriented, that they can get away with more because they might be aggressive towards a girl, but it's not thought of as bad as if a guy was aggressive towards a girl. Right.
There's it's very interesting sort of where we are in the world today. What does the American dream mean to you even anymore at age 23? What does it even mean?
So I actually really like this question because in school we're taught the American dream was a house with a white picket fence with 2 dogs and a husband and a wife and 3 kids. You know, there was a standard.
Right.
But through learning, I've kind of found that I think the American dream is simply opportunity. And I think a lot of people wanted the dream to be something tangible because then they can market it or they can put it on a billboard or they can sell something. You know, they sell a house. People buy houses because that's the American dream.
Right.
I think at its core, the American dream is this, and it's not even abstract, but it's the idea of opportunity, of a free market, of a chance for you to make something of yourself. That's why people went west. They didn't go west to buy a house. They went west for the opportunity and the freedom to make a living for themselves in a world where they might have otherwise not had one. And so to me, the American dream is the opportunity to do what you want, to take a risk and fail and learn and then do it again, and to make what you want of yourself in life. America, yes, certain people might face more struggles than others. Yes, there are obstacles to everything, but in America, you can at least try to do whatever you want. You have the opportunity to go out and try what you want to do with your life. And to me, that's the American dream. It's the opportunity to do.
That was powerful. Okay. When you look at people sort of who are older than you, I don't know my age, but I'm not that. I feel like people are, Generation Z.
I think I am technically Gen Z because
you guys, you guys hang out more with millennials than any other. There's never been a generation where a generation has spent more time with the generation above them.
Really?
You haven't seen all this?
No.
But before these studies came out, I already knew that because I would meet people your age and they don't even care. Like they would, it became like a fad on social media for like someone your age to date like a 40-year-old dude. And at first it was kind of like,
really?
So many. That's you guys all do that at least once or twice. And so, but anyway, but yes, if you Google it right now, your guys' generation hangs out with, and in a plethora of ways, but certainly with like people that are like millennials, they're like 15 years older than you guys. And so it's like your generation is so into that. I don't know why. I think it's like because social media. I think it's also like because just your generation's a little more just, or maybe all of them were doing it, but yours is more open. I'm not really sure. Maybe there's like clout in it, like for people to show it on social media, like, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with somebody that's like 15 years older than me. But it's a very fast. So your generation, never before has your generation spent as much time with like millennials, and part of it is because you guys, there's like a rift between Generation Z and like each other, men and women, and then like and then of course like the millennial crowd is there to fill the void, and it's both ways. It's both ways. So like it's more women than men. So like more women your age hang out with millennials, like at the highest numbers ever, and then now younger men are dating older women. So it's like your generation is split because you guys, the women, your guys, the women your age don't like younger men, and then the men are having to adapt and they're dating older women, which is a fascinating thing. But what do you think is sort of misunderstood by different generations and so forth?
So I think this is actually really interesting because historically women have always been younger than the man because typically a woman would just be looking for
provider.
Provider, yes. So they're like, I need a husband that's going to be able to give me a life so I can then live my life. And I think it's interesting because with the new waves of, I think our Gen Z had like this fourth wave of feminism. It's really come in.
Yeah.
With that, I think it's created a lot more separation between men and women because women, and ever since I was like younger, I remember being told, you can do anything a man can do. You do not need a man.
Right.
Go be independent. Go own your own company.
Right.
Go be a corporate badass. Go do X,
Right.
Y, Z, X,
Right.
Y, Z.
Right.
And we're told that, and we're like, okay, so we don't want a guy. We're going to be completely independent, and then we'll get a guy as like a side piece to have kids.
Yeah,
That's kind of what we were
much.
told. We were
Yeah.
told we don't need a relationship. We
Right.
just need a husband for children.
Right.
And that's the message I think a lot of us got. So we're getting older, and then we hit kind of 18, 19, 20, and now as modern era has developed, women have children later and later. But, we get kind of older and we get into college, and we're like, I actually kind of maybe like the idea of having a family or having a guy take care of me a little bit because they get so burned out early. And there's been multiple surveys done of single 35, 40-year-old women who are unhappy with their life because they did the corporate route. And I think a lot of us are like, well, I wouldn't mind a guy taking care of me a little bit, or at least having a guy who's mature enough to maybe take me out to dinner and not split the bill. I do think that's something, however, subconsciously that women want. And I think because of all the, not necessarily bad coddling, but life has been softer in our generations. There's therapy. Men and women don't have to grow up as much. There's safe spaces. If you fail in school, they give you 5 million opportunities to not fail because they don't want to be harsh on you because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
And I think that in turn has created softer, more feminine men. And I think as women get older, the idea of feminism is, well, I don't want a man to control me, and I don't want a masculine man because there's this whole idea of toxic masculinity, which I think I don't think toxic masculinity is a thing until it's like maybe an aggressive, abusive, but masculinity was there for a reason. And I think as girls get older, they're like, well, I want a guy who's more masculine. And younger guys don't realize necessarily until farther along that they're like, well, maybe I should be responsible. But that's why we're not dating guys our age, because we're looking for a guy who is more secure, who's in himself, who's masculine, who could, in theory, be a bit more of a leader. And I think that's something that we've disadvantaged young men at, because we tell them and I think men should be able to be vulnerable with a partner, but a lot of them aren't necessarily growing up as fast, and women are starting to look for a guy who's more grown up. And so then we tend towards maybe some older people, and then the guy's like, well, I can't get a woman my age, so they kind of look for those older women that maybe aren't necessarily happy married yet, and those older women then find them because they're kind of the population,
It's
or they're
crazy.
new, or they're
Isn't
young.
it crazy?
It's fascinating, and I can talk forever about
I know. Yeah. So there's two things. It's like, because of that fourth wave of feminism that you talked about, it's like with all the advantages of it, like in theory, the advantages of it, it's like it has created a system where women who are like in their early 20s at higher rates than ever, are hanging out with people that are 15, 20 years older than them because of that system. So it's like it created a system where I don't think I'm abnormally I never think to myself like, am I mad? Like those things, those are like the terms that like I just live my life. I do the best I can, and that's it. I don't worry about it. But I'm not shy. I don't fall into the same thinking patterns of people, and I don't let people manipulate me or get in my head. I'm willing to do what I think's right. I'm willing to go talk to anybody I want to and do the things like I just don't care. And you're not going to shame me. You're not going to punish me. You're not going to do anything to get me to not speak my truth and sort of, do what I think's right. And so I think that energy is, the other part is like the young men your age get canceled for, they get Me Too'd for something. And it's a real thing. Men have to deal with that. But then if you can just not let it get to you and you don't quit, you just are who you are, you evolve yourself and you still share freely, then you become like a supernatural being as far as being able to connect with people and stuff. But it's hard to, it's a whole thing. People aren't as social. People don't talk as much. But there's reasons for it because I guess the men are scared to go talk, but also like, but it also can kill them. Like if an allegation comes out against them, then it can hurt them. And and then so women have created this, or this energy is created, whether it's by women or special forces or like some men too probably created it, and then it just manifests itself in younger women dating older men, which is the exact opposite because they always because there's like a power and status dynamic there, and maybe like subconsciously women kind of like that, where it's like, oh, I like somebody who's older than me because it's like this thing of like, you can't manipulate them or their mind is different to where you feel like this, and so it's like that behavior that growing up in that fourth wave of feminism has just created a wave where it's like after World War II when like a bunch of soldiers were killed, and like older women had to marry, younger women had to marry older men, where it's just like now the women flock somewhere else. And then the boys who are like 23, they go date like 40-year-old women because the women at 40, I don't know. I have theories. Well, first of all.
Hit me with one.
Okay, well.
I find it fascinating.
Well, I'm single. So I'm single, like I date, but I don't really like have a relationship. I don't. So I've been like this a long time.
Yeah.
And so if I meet like a 41-year-old woman who's like a normal 41-year-old woman, it's just like a matter of moments until she starts like either asking me if I'm single or if she has friends that are like our age, because there's not that many single men in general. I'm not fat. I care about life. I'm very disciplined. And I'm very social. I talk to everybody. So those three things. But then I'm sometimes like, I look at the women and I'm like, and I don't want to say like I love everybody. I don't rate people on a scale. I think our core essence is there to evolve. I'm not, but like sometimes I'm like, I'm not really interested in a relationship with a 40-something-year-old woman. Now there's reasons for that, but and sometimes I don't want a relationship with it. Sometimes I just want to just like you said, be bored and think for a minute.
Yeah.
But I think that like the pool of available men who are even worth dating. I think I have female friends who are my age who would say the pool of available men like my age, like 38, 40, 41, 35 is so small because the decent ones are either married, probably married and still dating women outside of their marriage. That's actually pretty common here in Utah, especially. I've known many people, many women who have been dating married men. And then vice versa. Married women date outside of their marriage too.
Utah,
across the country. And it's just. And I think people stay together because like it's better than like it could be better for the kids to like at least pretend.
Yeah.
It's probably not, but like I feel two ways about that because yes, there's a integrity thing there where you're like lying to the person, like you're basically your whole life's a lie and you're married, but yet you're spending time with someone else. But at the same time, like maybe like evolutionarily, we really want to have different experiences, or like especially women, like after they've been in a relationship for a few years, they actually become like bored by it. It's a very thing. It's like an evolutionary thing. Whereas opposed like men aren't as much like that, but still men like the variety. And so like it's like it's like this whole thing of like we have the evolutionary, like how we've designed over hundreds of thousands of years, and then it's like the cultural norms that like push against us. So it's like we're trying to do the cultural norms, but we have this pressure that's separating it, and so it's like, you know, we're trying to make it work, but we're struggling to do that.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes like when people stay married and then they have affairs, maybe they're actually trying to do right by their partner, but they're just not like attracted to him in the right way or whatever. They've been married for 15 years, and then so they go out and cheat. And so like I feel two ways about it. I feel like, yes, it's, you know, I've never been married, I've never cheated on anybody, but I've also been single for so long that like it doesn't really matter what I do. And so it's like so it's like, you know, does that make sense? Like I kind of admire people who try to stay married and maybe they cheat on each other, but like they're at least trying, like you know, and like in a roundabout way, like even if your wife is banging somebody else, like at least she's making you dinner and like raising your kids. But like I agree, like that would probably kill it for me too. Like if I found out my wife was, you know, banging her trainer, but I would just laugh and be like, that's awesome, you know, that's cool, you know. And I know that sounds crazy, but like at my age now, you know, you date enough people and stuff, you just become like, you don't even care. It's not that you don't care. I have a good like I have good memories of all the people I've spent time with and all that, but like you just become so like, you're just so used to sort of that happening where you're just like, all right, okay. Not like that, but like you're just used to sometimes things come together, that things fall apart or whatever. But then maybe I've become like emotionally cold and distant just because I've been single for so long. I've seen so much. I've, you know, just seen so much in my life where I'm just like, this is just the new normal, you know? And that's the thing is like, is that what happens? So the people who can survive, do they become like some sort of, you know, person who just like doesn't care and is like immune to it because they've seen so much, but yet they're not giving up, they're not giving in. It's a very interesting thing as opposed to like, you know, I don't have all the answers. I just, those are just foods for thoughts. If you want to comment on anything I said, I'm gonna get to the next question.
Yeah. Well, will you find the next question?
Okay.
I'll fill a space with talking.
Okay.
But I do think it's interesting because, so for me, cheating would be my big no.
Yeah.
I think that if you and your partner are having problems, or if you feel for some reason that you feel like you're attracted to someone else, talk to your partner about it. That's why you're there. You're supposed to go through life together. I've also watched a lot of podcasts and heard a lot of people talk recently about how there's, you know, there's controversy to marrying young, but also if you date a bunch of people, to an extent you can not learn, but your brain wires, especially with women, that people are disposable. So if you go and you date a bunch of guys, but you're never fully present with that guy because you know, okay, I'm going to date this guy so I can get, honestly, you'd be surprised how much now is for cute Instagram pictures.
Yeah.
I'm going to date this guy and go on cute dates, post about it, have some sex, feel loved, feel appreciated. But as soon as I see another guy, there's no commitment, so I'm going to dump him. I'm going to go find something else.
That's pretty normal, though, I think.
It's pretty normal.
Yeah.
So, and I've, you know, hookup culture, everyone has their hoe phase.
Yeah.
I've also had a real relationship that really messed me up on how it ended. And I told myself I'd never make the intention to date until I think I'm ready to settle down or be with that person, because I don't want to try and make that commitment and have it not work out, because I went through heartbreak and it absolutely sucks. And I think that's a big thing is people want this connection and they want a person, but they don't realize that to be with a person throughout all the temptations life throws at you, all the sins you could commit, all of the women in bikinis on Instagram all watching Magic Mike shows. Like, I don't think people realize that I think you can love someone forever, but I also think love is more than a passion. It's more than a spark. Love and then marriage is a commitment to choosing your person every day. There's going to be hard days. One of my favorite songs is, it's my best day alone can't beat my worst day with you. And I think that's a testament to life, because I think what a lot of people don't necessarily realize is love and marriage, it's not going to be a spark every day. It's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be the next new thing. You have to choose to work and grow together with this person. And I think that's something that a lot of people are missing today, because, you know, if you've dated a few people or you've been through it, or you just get tired or desensitized because maybe you have tried so much and it never works out, and so you get discouraged. But I also think that a lot of people go into a relationship with the expectation that this is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but the honeymoon phase ends.
Oh my God, no, it did.
It's
no.
true. And I think you need to be prepared if you want a relationship, no matter your age. And obviously, once you get to a certain point, the idea of what you want in a relationship changes. Like when my grandma died, he just wanted another companion to be with.
Right.
So at that age, it changes. You know,
Yeah.
at my age, I might be looking for,
Yeah.
I am eventually hoping to find a husband.
Yeah.
But I think what people have to realize, especially younger people looking for marriage, is that it is not all sunshines and rainbows. You have to be willing to get through the hard days with your person. And if you want to stray, you have to be willing to come back to them and willing to work it out and understand that there will be hardships. But you have to choose to work with that person every day and build a better life and be a better you.
I'm going to stand up
Yeah.
to stretch my legs.
No worries, no
I
worries.
feel like this is okay. I've got a few more, and you mentioned the social media thing, but I don't know if I'm going to talk about that. I had one. Do you think social media is creating blind spots? But I think we already did that
I think we kind of did.
with identity and success.
Yeah.
And then I feel like you're tapped in. You're dialed in.
I genuinely enjoy talking about this stuff, and not enough people really want to necessarily talk about it nowadays because it's that whole sensitive thing. You know, you don't want to offend someone. Oh, nice.
Yeah. I know. My hair gets. I'm losing.
But you don't want to offend someone, or you don't want to be taken the wrong way. And cancel culture, and I just think it's so detrimental to a free society of learning, growing, understanding individuals.
Yeah.
But did you have
Cancel
a
culture.
specific question?
Give me 1 second. Yeah. The cancel thing is real, man. People get canceled for. I saw
People get
two
canceled
people in that congressional race. Two candidates got canceled.
No way.
One for a guy that he wrote stuff online like 13 years ago, and like some girl got slapped on the ass.
Oh
and
my God.
He was like, just because you got slapped on the ass, that should not be a jailable offense. And then like they went and like canceled, and they were like sexual assault. And the same woman who was like, she was like judgmental of him. She was like, this is underlying sexual abuse. She got 4 people came out against her and said that. So it's like anytime people are virtue signaling.
No, but it's also like, so I'll be honest,
Yeah.
quick. So I did this podcast, and
Yeah.
we talk about some pretty radical ideas.
Yeah.
I've had some of, I won't mention names, but some of my family members
Yeah.
have been like, hey, you know, you want to go to grad school, they're going to look at this, and I've heard of people getting kicked out for this, and I'm just like, that is not a free society. If you're going to kick me out for a view, I feel like
Yeah.
that, or I've had cousins stop talking to me because I have something political.
You have a big energy wave. You're powerful. You're powerful. You're powerful. Especially at that little private college. I mean, when I had people, it's a whole thing. I haven't even put everything on that first episode out because I'm just like, oh man, like it's real. I have to just. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I actually think we could do this, and I think when we start, like, Columba couldn't make it today. Next week, I think we're going to do something, but you guys have some shared thing. What's amazing is like when women start like watching like the manosphere content. Yeah. Not that you are, but like there are women who watch it, and then like to hear women say it, it's like you just wonder like how it's a very. But then so many of my friends too, like they'll post stuff that's like so anti-male, so like, and I'm just like, this is the dumbest thing. But then if you get them on a personal level, like if you can get in their energy wave personally, they're not that bad, or you can kind of teach and sort of, you know, all those sort of things. The thing is that but their natural instinct, at least because of what they're fed, is very much more just the propaganda of anti-male of just it's so weird. And the fact is, every truth is a half truth. There's not one side or the other. That's really it's. I just missed it because I'm 38, so I just missed that wave of like the whole manosphere stuff. I think it was elements of that, but like back in our day, it just wasn't as bad. Like, you know, I always really liked women. I enjoyed hanging out with women. I enjoyed being friends. I didn't take it as like this person's a whore if they fuck this guy or that guy. I always just enjoyed meeting people, and had a much more open-minded approach. And then I wonder how much of the content that's created by some of the men or guys who don't date women, who don't have any experiences. But I think that our generation too, my generation, like we were, I mean, there's a third of men who don't even go on dates. Your generation has less sex than anyone. And that's, but then it does, but then it's like you guys lose the virginity at like 14 or something now. So it's like, it's a interesting thing. and I can't quite. It doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't really matter, but it's definitely
Yeah.
men and women don't talk as much. They're not having kids. And as pro like learning as I am, and so many of my people on this podcast are just friends of mine who are women. I've had men on too, but like who are women who I know well enough to bring them in on the energy wave. You know, and I've like as pro that is, you know, it still is not good enough for like people who are just anti-male. Like because we're free thinkers, we can talk about different things. It's like no matter how much I put like a person who can share something from your perspective, because I don't just want to have my perspective as a 38-year-old guy. So then maybe I'll bring a younger woman, she can share hers, and then but yet it's just not. It's a I don't know how it's going to go. I feel like the pendulum swings, so it's like anti-male, and then it like becomes very anti-woman, I guess. And there's, like I told you, a group of men who don't even date, who say they don't. It's like the whole Nick Fuentes. He's like a virgin. He doesn't date. I've got there's a guy I was coaching on how to like go talk to people, and he's like a virgin in his late 20s. Which I don't even know. I don't even believe that. When I first heard that men weren't having sex, I was like, that's not true. And then I realized it is. And but how? And then also, it's real too. So it's like these people are mentally affected by that. And if the women, not like you, because there's a lot of great women out here too that are like very just loving people, but like if the women who are very toxic toward men, who want to shame men if they talk to women in public, and stuff, what do they think killing a person's spirit or making them want to like? I mean, like there are women who think that men should like commit suicide. Like they're like get rid of men. It's like, well, before that man commits suicide, what's stopping him from just killing as many people as he can? Like if you think in war or some sort of thing, you're going to push somebody to the brink, and then like to like completely demoralize them, take their life away, and then at that point, they have nothing to lose. There's nothing more dangerous than a person who's got nothing to lose.
Oh, yeah.
So like me, as a man who's at least navigated life, I've survived this long. I've been in physical fights, but like you know how to survive. You know you cannot just like demoralize somebody, and like if you're so mean and nasty that you think I'm just going to punish this person and make them kill themselves, or whatever the outcome of being canceled is going to do, then what's stopping that person before they kill themselves from just going and just killing you? Like people don't like that. That's the way. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like at what point, like when wolves fight in nature, they fight and then they don't kill each other. The winner stops before there's death. Like there has to be that thing of like, we have a disagreement, but we're not going to just demoralize so the person just wants to shoot themselves. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think, so you mentioned a lot of things in that. And I think one thing I might focus on is the demoralizing idea. I think less women than we maybe think are actually super on the extreme, or if you actually asked them alone in like a one-on-one setting and not with a camera or not in a group of other people.
Right.
I do think a lot of women's responses might be different, because I also think there is a general, well, I've been told this and I'm supposed to think this as a woman, so I'm going to be more hating towards males. But I also think that, so this has actually been statistically a thing, left identifying individuals have like 80% more mental health problems than right identifying individuals.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is, it comes down to a basic concept of a bully. A bully, we're always told, a bully bullies you because they're jealous or because they're insecure. And I think a lot of women putting down men is because they were maybe told, you got to be the strong, independent woman, and maybe they don't want to be, or maybe they feel like they're failing at it. And they're like, well, we're going to put someone down to make us feel better, but we can't put down other women, so we're just going to put down men, because everything that's wrong in the world is wrong because of men. Men did the Crusades. Men enslaved people. Men put regulations on women and didn't let them have sex. Men tortured women. Like, men did all these things.
Right.
And so it's kind of like we found this group to scapegoat. And so women just hate on them. And then we're told men are terrible people. They rape women. They hurt women. And women can't do no wrong. And we've been oppressed for so long, we can't do anything wrong. So they hate on men and hate on men and hate on men. And they don't realize that it actually affects men, because it's just like with the 1% of people who are rich. I believe that almost all men are good. I believe most women are good. I believe there's a bit of that good in everyone, but you only hear about, or you put it down because you don't fully understand. The only reason, like when we have to fight a war, I mean, I think now technically women have to be drafted too, but when you fight a war, people talk about bodily autonomy all the time. Men used to be drafted and they didn't have any way to say no. Like, yes, you'd be at home and women helped with the war front and the wars and XYZ, but if the government told them to go die, they had to go die. And you need masculine men for that. If, you're walking out at night, this has been sexually proven by, like, this has been, a sexual offender was interviewed, childhood offender. He's like, I target a kid that I don't think the father will provide a problem for. They actually, I forget which one is it, but they've interviewed a bunch of like child sex offenders, and they gauge whether they go offend that child on how much of a problem they think the father will be. So masculine men and men being strong are inherently important to our culture to keep those psycho ones in check. Like, if they don't fear repercussion, they're going to do something. If they think, I have guy friends that say this. When I first meet a guy, even for just that split second, you size them up. And I don't know if this is true. You can speak on that. But when they first meet a guy, they shake hands. They're like, can I take him in a fight? Or how would this go down if it came to that? And I think one of the things we don't realize we're doing by putting down strong men or creating weaker men or just hating on masculinity in general is masculine men are one of the things that keeps society safe. Like, there's a reason most of law enforcement and most of firefighters are men. If a guy is robbing a store violently, I mean, if a woman has a gun, sure, but a woman's not really going to be able to do anything except threaten to shoot. Yeah. So there's a reason we need masculine men, and I don't think women realize what they're doing by putting down so many men. They're actually making society more prone to violence.
Oh, they are. So the way it swings is like when the economy is bad, I think there'll be like a resurgence of like stay-at-home moms, traditional, because whenever the economy's bad, people break up less and all this kind of stuff. And then also like if there's the thing is like in South Korea and other places that are not even Western cultures, it's happening at even higher levels. Like in South Korea, the split between left and right among like younger men and women are like way more worse than here. Dang. Like 53% of all white women are voted for Donald Trump. 53%. So most white women, about half are conservative and are voting in the interest of like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be so anti-male. Maybe like I'm worried about my kids' future. And then the other half are just the ones with mental illness, like you said, or they actually mean well. But they're probably not going to be married. They're probably, because if you are, you're not going to have that kind of collectivist mindset. Single women need the government to redistribute wealth to some degree because it helps them. The thing is that all it does is it creates when you make the barrier to entry for success so hard, only the people who are smart enough to navigate it can do it. So in a way, it's helpful if you're smart, because you can just know that like, oh, I know exactly what to invest in. I can do it. I can become top 2%, 5%. Just like with the social skills stuff, it's like the more people if you know how to talk to people, you can meet anybody, anytime, anywhere. Yeah. If you're like scared because you're a dude who's been taught he's bad and you can't talk to people, now you have no chance. You don't even believe it in your heart. You can't even. Our psychology is there's a thing called the winner's effect, which is like when we get one win, we start feeling, that from skiing. But our life is like that, where it's like, I feel good about myself, or I believe I can do this, and then I start acting different. People start responding to me different. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a lot of ways. And you beat somebody down, you take away their hope, you take away their confidence, and then now you have the few people who are confident, and then it just creates a thing where all these other people aren't, and then these people are, and it hurts the people here. And the harder that we make it to produce stuff, to do things, to have, like you said, a free market where people have opportunities, because we're going to redistribute the wealth. It's just sad. It just hurts everyone, and it's not what we can be as humans. It's not going to lead to the most ingenuity and creativity and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with everything you said.
Let me see what my next question is.
It's just life is, I feel like we try and put a lot of things in a box, or if we don't understand something, we put it down or we criticize it just because our mind isn't thinking that way. And so we think it must be wrong. Humans hate change. it's something you don't understand, I think we have a tendency to put it down or to not hear another side of the story because we don't want to, because our brain compartmentalizes things. That's how we process. Like stereotyping
saves time and energy.
isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's how your brain, okay, I met them. They have black hair, white skin, green eyes. Like that's how your brain categorizes. I met them. They're Asian. I met them. They're black. They're white. It's not a derogatory. It's how your brain processes things. It's pattern recognition.
Yeah.
So we like things simple. And a lot of times, if we don't let ourselves be bored and think, we'll never get outside our box.
If you were to intentionally sort of design your life, no expectations, no pressure, what does that look like on your end?
No expectations, no pressure. So
like you don't have to like what does your design life look like? Like if you could live forever in like a 20-year loop.
Yeah.
What would your life look like? What are you doing? Where are you at? Like have you ever thought about that? Like if you could intentionally design your life, what would it look like?
Would it be like I live forever through the generations, or I keep reliving kind of
maybe like the last 20, like a 20-year loop?
So like I live kind of like 10 to 30 or something, and keep
and then restart it over,
in the same era.
Well,
place,
in the same era place, or you could just start from now and just be like for the rest of your life from here. What would your life look like?
Well, there's every fantasy like, oh my gosh, I want to live on a mansion, drive a Corvette, and be super rich and all those things.
Right.
But I think
those things are fun too.
Those things are fun too, and I mean, who doesn't want to, live the high life every once in a while?
Right.
But I think my ideal life, I would love to, no matter how many lives I live, I want to find someone to share it with. And I think everyone has to go through the phase of not wanting someone or having someone and not necessarily been hurt, but realizing who you are. And I think you have to be true to yourself to actually want to find someone who is true to themselves, who you two can make each other better together. So I think part of my ideal life would definitely be I want to find someone that I can spend the rest of my life with, and I want to be able to have kids and have a family, and I want to feel like I've helped people, and I want to reproduce kids with my values to hopefully keep sharing them in the world and keep helping people and keep having conversations and keep talking. And a big part is, I guess it's a little niche, but a big part for me is dancing. I am so happy I found dance in this community, and if I could dance for the rest of my life, I'd love that. If I can introduce people to the world of dance, because I think dance is there's so many different types, so many different styles. I think it's an amazing way of expression, of feeling good about yourself. If I could bring the concept of dance or music to everyone, I think I would. And I would love to have someone to share that with who could see me at my lows and who wouldn't judge me for maybe a bad decision or a selfless decision I make, but who would work with me through that. So, and I think this is underrated, but I think if I could sum it up into like a sentence, my ideal life would be about connection. Connection with my lover, connection with my children, connection with my family, connection with friends, connection with the stranger I meet at the farmer's market. That turns into like a wonderful friendship.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'd say that would kind of be it.
I'm going to see you in like 10 years. You're going to have a kid. That's going to be great.
Bring them on the podcast.
And I feel like you're going to have, I feel like you have fans. I feel like you have fans.
I hope so.
I think you do.
There's the whole debate of, so in order to kind of make it big in the physical therapy world and stuff, I've always wanted to have a podcast, or I have like my personal Instagram that's private, and then I have a fitness page, and I have so many more people follow me on my private page than my fitness page. But I don't necessarily want, because I want to put I put fitness advice out there and meal advice and just workouts I do to try and help people. But I don't really want to do that on my private account because I want to reach as many people as I can. But I don't want everyone to see what my life is like. But it's also kind of hard to build a base like that. Because
do you have, is there anybody just from like you, do you ever get people, I'm sure you do, like reaching out who you've never actually met in real life? How many people reach out to you, message you on social media through your social media caricature?
Not
that it's a caricature, but just
a decent amount actually.
Yeah.
And most of them actually, most of them reach out through my like personal account, not my fitness account, just because I do my personal account more because all my friends, people I know are on there. And usually it's about my dance videos that I post. They're like, oh my gosh, that's a cool new move. Or I'll comment on someone's post about a book I'm reading and they're like, oh my gosh, same, I love this. And we'll kind of just have a little chat. And it's cool, but also like I don't want to make my private Instagram public because I don't want every single Joe Schmo seeing it, but I want to reach as many people as I can. So I kind of have a separate account, but then I have to maintain 2 accounts. And then it's just like,
I know. I gave up my. I had a personal account in my
Yeah.
podcast. Now I don't ever post on my personal account. So I don't. And people are like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, I'm over here. I'm over here.
But no, I definitely, when I'll graduate school and I'll get home and I'll like settle in and stuff, I want to be more consistent about posting and just talking about life and helping people and just putting my life advice and what I did in my experience out there to maybe connect with one person that I can help in their life.
Where are you going to go to PT school at? Do you know?
So I don't know.
Okay.
I would like to go to University of New England.
Okay.
I'm going to
I know
apply to
that
the U
one.
as well.
I know the University of New England.
But the University of New England has a great
Is that in New Hampshire or
in
Maine?
Portland, Maine.
I knew it was. I've been there. I've seen it.
Really?
Yeah. I used to live in New Hampshire. I've seen the University
Oh,
of New
no,
England.
we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Live
Yeah.
Free Die.
I live in New Hampshire. I've been to Maine.
I just love their program.
Uh-huh.
And their first semester's online, so I could still.
Are you going to be able?
travel.
Okay. You could still be like
Yeah.
in the West.
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
you going to get? But I know Maine's not as bad, but it's still a much more different culture than here. But you're in the college life, so you're used to the very leftist.
Yeah, well, Portland, Maine, and Augusta, Maine are kind of like meh, and then everywhere else in Maine is
Right,
awesome.
it's more normal,
Like,
yeah.
Well, Maine did vote red in the last election. Actually,
Yeah.
I was.
Well, it was
I
split, though, wasn't it?
surprised.
Wasn't it
It was
split?
split. It was
I
only
think.
like a 2%
Yeah.
difference, but that's because so much of Maine is rural, which is one of the reasons I like it. I
Mm-hmm.
like living in a rural area, not a city. The cities are so intensely highly populated compared to the rest that it cancels out a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Maine because I kind of grew up in the woods and I love being able to walk in the forest or walk in a path. And I love the culture because I think in small towns there's much more of a community. You know everyone. You know the baker. You always go get your bread or you get your eggs. Or if you need to ask your neighbor for sugar, you can go ask your
Right.
neighbor for sugar. And I've only been really in the city in Utah, so I haven't gotten to necessarily experience that as much. But that's one of the things I love about small towns is that there's so much more of a sense of community and it's love your neighbor. And I grew up in a town where I could stay out until like 10 o'clock at night and not have to worry about someone kidnapping me or getting hurt or someone trying to rob me. I made the mistake of biking down to – my car was in the shop. So a few weeks ago, I biked down to my dance studio to go dancing because I didn't want to miss a night of dancing.
Right.
And it was darker than I realized when I left. And I biked down the trail, a Parkway Trail or something, the bike trail.
Okay.
And there weren't a lot of lights. There was lights every few feet.
Yeah.
But I saw some people and saw some shadows and some people were maybe following me or walking towards me. I was freaked the heck out.
Yeah.
And so I had one of my friends drive me back.
I was going to say, I'm sure you don't have trouble getting people to drive you. I work a lot, but being my friend, feel free to reach
No,
out, and I can give you a ride. Just like I might hit you up one day and be like, hey, my car's.
Yeah.
Can you give me a ride? You know,
Yeah,
it's
hit me up.
mutual. It's mutual. So,
But I'd never been scared like that before growing up. And I think that's one of the reasons I like, because my small town, it's like you said, going different places, they fire neurons and you get to thinking new things. But I was so scared because it was very dark and there was a lot of kind of people walking around and they didn't all look friendly. And I would have never felt that in my small town
right.
because I know people and because I do think smaller towns tend to have more maybe blue-collar guys or more masculine guys who keep the other guys at check. And I truly think that's a real thing.
I have a theory. I don't know if I can say it on the air, but get me fired. But we can talk about it later. It's all about the kind of person. It's like,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. It depends on the IQ of the culture and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this. Hope you're doing awesome, and peace. Okay, let's do our little promo.
Yeah.
And I'll get to work. Okay.
All right. I just have to go to the bathroom
Yes,
first.
yes.